All right, welcome back to Prayer of the Barren Womb. It's been a long time since my last post, and I just want to mention something before I get started. For those of you who check in on my channel from time to time and have maybe actually been blessed by some of the words I've shared, I would ask for your prayer. What you're witnessing with these further and further apart postings is a problem I've struggled with for most of my life, and that is crossing the finish line. I want to cross the finish line with Prayer of the Barren Womb and to bring forward my ideas of the 4 rivers of Eden. But as you can see, I'm in part 59 of what was originally about a 30 to 40 minute theory. And so this thing has really mushroomed on me and taken off in many different directions, and it's become a challenge. So if you have been blessed by anything I've shared in these teachings, I ask for your prayer support to help me get across the finish line. Help me get across the finish line if you've been blessed, and pray for me, and pray that God would help me with these podcasts. This ain't a podcast, this is just a posting. Anyhow, that God would just help me, that he would pour out his spirit upon me and help me with bringing forward these messages. I'd really appreciate that. So thank you in advance. And something else that I want to share, and this is for free. This really has nothing to do with the direction and aim of this channel. But something happened about 2 weeks ago in my mind that it's like a bell got struck in my soul, and I've been vibrating off that thing for the last 2 weeks now. And it has to do with the book of Revelation and the writer. It's the 4 writers. And there's a lot of theories out there, and one of the things that I've learned to do is to hold very loosely to any kind of dogmatism concerning future events and where we are on the book of Revelation or various prophetic timelines. I've been wrong so many times. What I've learned to do is just this is the lead dog in my race, okay? So I'm going to share with you a lead dog, and just put it out there for your consideration, and leave comments if you're inclined. But there's been a lot of talk and a lot of different theories on what the various colors of the horsemen in the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 6 mean. I'll share with you some of my theories that I consider to be lead dogs. I consider the white horse, who was given a bow and an arrow. Very interesting thoughts on the bow is first mentioned in the Bible as a rainbow. And so it's interesting that now the rainbow agenda is what most people think of. When you even mention the word rainbow, you think of gay pride. And so it's interesting that this rider on the white horse is going out conquering and to conquer. And it seems like the rider on the white horse is being given an ongoing assignment that seems to develop. And we can see the development of if this bow that is given to the rider on the white horse is actually a representation of the gay agenda. You can see it taking over society. It's going out conquering and to conquer. And, it's reached its fruition in this transgender abomination. And there are finally people that are so turned off. You don't even have to be a Christian to know that this is abhorrent and this is evil. So there are people that are turning away from that. But it's interesting that, if this interpretation of the bow that is given to the white horse rider is the gay agenda, it's interesting how it's moving forward through society and how it's being empowered politically and by political correctness and people being even afraid to mention it. So that's an interesting thing. The arrow is also a very curious word. I didn't come up with this. I never would have found it apart from YouTubers. But it's interesting that this word for arrow is a very unique word. And one of the things that I have learned as a result of my investigation into the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith is that you have to pay attention to words that are extremely rare. Turns out this word that's translated arrow in Revelation chapter 6 is the word toxin. And it's only used once in the entire Bible. So to interpret it accurately, there's kind of some elbow room in there. And I heard one YouTuber talk about how this toxin is most likely the vax. And that to me is very interesting. So these you can see the rainbow agenda, you can see the jab agenda moving forward through society and going worldwide, conquering and to conquer. So those are my lead dogs. The white horse would suggest a piety in these actions, and I think what we're looking at is, the the justice posturing, social justice posturing. This puffed up righteousness that thinks to endorse homosexuality as virtuous, or virtue signaling is the word that we use, and to get the jab for I want to do this on behalf of my fellow man so that I don't contaminate, all this virtue signaling that's going on. And I think that can be an interpretation of the white. It's a false self-righteousness that's generating the movement of these two strongholds, demonic strongholds moving through society, is the false posture of self-righteousness. So to me, those are kind of the things that I look at for the white horse rider. Here's where I wanted to go. The rider on the red horse, it was given him a great sword to take peace from the earth. And there's been speculation in the prophetic community about what does red mean. And I've heard, people talk about, this could refer to Red China and Russia, the communist nations of the world, all strongly identify with the color red. And, that's strong. I think there's some validity to that. But what happened in the last couple of weeks, and probably in the last couple, maybe I'd say probably this idea is about 2 to 3 weeks old, is you keep on coming across the voting of America, how America voted. And basically what you see is, apart from a few little blue dots where the population centers are, America turned red. And I find that intriguing. That's kind of what rang my bell a little bit. It's interesting now that all three greatest military superpowers on the earth have all turned red. And could this signal the imminency of the red horse taking peace from the earth? Okay, so that's for your consideration. You've got current political events that would interpret the white horse the way I just described. You've got the three greatest military powers on the earth are now all red. And, they're going to come to blows because we are opposed fundamentally to communism as a constitutional republic. So things that make you go, and to be watchful. Real quickly, my lead dog on the black horse is going to have something to do with crude oil. And my lead dog on the green horse or the pale horse is going to have something to do with Islam. Everywhere Islam goes, it's the color green. So those are my theories, and those are my lead dogs. I want to leave them for you for your consideration and prayer, because it appears as though the time period in which we are living right now is extremely urgent. It's time for the people of God to repent of the sins that we know are in our heart, the controversies that we know the Holy Spirit is dealing with us. It's time to come clean. It's time to get clean. It's time to cry out to God for salvation, and to pray that we might be counted worthy to escape the things that are coming upon the earth and to stand before the Son of Man. So that's the prayer from Luke 23:26, I think it is. I don't have that address, but it's time to start praying that one over yourself and your family. Anyhow, back to the intent, the intent of my channel. I want to continue with the 4 rivers of Eden. My last posting had to do with the life of Abraham as a prophetic template for the life of faith. And just as a forewarning, anything that I say right now that sounds scholarly or wow, amazing, I have to give a shout out to my Southern House family that are doing this research for me. The first shout out, the predominance of what I'm going to share, has to go to my friend Otto Gershon, an amazing scholar, Jewish man with deep understanding of the Torah and its relationship to what we call in the Hebrew Roots movement the Brit Chadashah, the New Testament. Anyhow, huge shout out to Otto. What I'm basically sharing with you in this posting is a result of his understanding, and also another Jewish Southern House resource is Rabbi David Foreman of Aleph Beta. This man is an unsaved Orthodox rabbi, but is opening up the Torah to me in ways that I've never seen before, and has been such a brilliant source of understanding that I just have to give him a shout out, even though he would probably freak out at a believer in Yeshua Messiah, using his understandings and his resources in the way that I am. But anyhow, all I am is Ruth gleaning in the fields of Boaz. Look around. I'm a bus driver, right? So anything that sounds amazing is a result of the fields of Boaz. And I just want to make mention real quickly of the parallels between the life of Abraham and the life of Ruth. I am a picture of Ruth gleaning in the fields of Boaz. But Ruth and Abraham have incredible parallels in their life. So if Abraham is a template for the life of faith, for the believer, Ruth, I believe, to be a template for the life of faith. But she's a stronger picture of Gentiles coming out of their nations and into the faith, into God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when you consider the parallels between Ruth and Abraham, they were both pagans called out of their nation and to go to a place that they did not know. I mean, this is an exact parallel between the two lives. Abraham goes out following after Yahovah. Ruth goes out following after her Jewish mother-in-law, Naomi. She didn't know where she was going. But they both exemplify deep lives of faith. And so we see many more parallels. They both leave the land of their natural inheritance in a state of barrenness. Abram and Sarai are barren, and they go out with the promise that they'll become a great nation. Ruth clings to Naomi in a state of barrenness, and her hope is that somehow the Jewish process of Yibum, Y-I-B-U-M, Yibum, what we would call the Levirate marriage, would somehow, hope against hope, that she could conceive and restore the name of her husband, Mahlon, and actually have a double portion. She would restore the name of Elimelech, who's the name of her father-in-law. Is it Elimelech? Yeah, it's Elimelech. So there would be a double Yibum taking place if hope against hope, that Ruth could actually conceive by someone, a near kinsman. So they both go out in this state of barrenness, and the journey that they take is perilous. Consider Abraham and Sarai walking and journeying to the land of promise, and when they get there, they don't even know if they're going to live. How are they going to keep their livestock alive in this famine with these rocks? There's no water. They were in a perilous state when they were introduced to the land of Canaan. Imagine, put your feet in the shoes of Ruth and Naomi, the two of them, an elderly woman and her daughter-in-law, making a lonely journey across, bandit-infested regions. These two women walking on foot at the speed of an old woman, going up hills and rocky crags. And I don't know how far Moab is from Bethlehem, but the house of bread. But you can imagine the fear that they must have endured on this journey. So again, we see another parallel between Ruth and Abram. And you see that Ruth is blessed in the house of Bethlehem, house of bread. And Abram is blessed in his journey to Egypt. So you see these multiplications of blessing happening for both lives. And the thing that I wanted to point to that really challenges me as a quote-unquote Christian. I don't even know what to call myself anymore. Christian. I'm a Christian, yes. I believe in Jesus Christ. But the word Christian comes with so much Sunday, Easter, Christmas baggage that that's the image that it forms in the minds of anybody I encounter and say, oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, okay, that's what you are. That's no longer what I am. Not as an ancient path, Torah pursuant lifestyle. I don't look like the Sunday, Easter, Christmas church anymore. So I hesitate to call myself a Christian, but I'm going to use the phrase right now because of its effectiveness to communicate an idea. What I want to communicate in the parallels of the lives between Ruth and Abram, and how Abram is a template for the faith of not only the circumcised, but the uncircumcised, but Ruth is a template of faith for, I believe, Gentiles coming into the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What she says, and actually I think I'm going to get my Bible out for this. I want you to listen closely to what I'm about to read and think for yourself, consider for yourself, when in history have Christians ever said this about the Southern House, our Jewish brethren? Orpah and Ruth are intending to go with Naomi back to Bethlehem. Orpah turns back after Naomi says, no, my daughter, don't do this. Go find happiness. Perhaps you can find a husband. And Ruth says, no way. There's something in Naomi that she so fundamentally desires that nothing is going to separate her from this Jewish woman. And listen carefully. But Ruth said, entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go. And wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. And where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you from me. This is what I want to draw your attention to. What has been the position of Christians for the last 2,000 years? Well, actually less than that. Following the apostle generation of believers, and perhaps one generation beyond that, the position of the church has been the exact opposite of the templates of faith for Gentiles coming into faith of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We have said the exact opposite to our Jewish brothers. It's like, entreat me not to follow you. I will not follow you. Or to follow you in any way. I will walk away from you. And wherever you go, I will not go. and wherever you lodge, I will not lodge. Your people shall not be my people, nor your God my God. I'm going to make a little plastic Jesus. I'm going to worship around a golden calf image of Jesus. I'm going to make up my own God, and that I will worship. And where you die, I will not die. In fact, if I find you, I'm going to hunt you down and kill you. I will not be buried next to you. This is a harsh condemnation to the Sunday, Easter, Christmas church, or what we would call the Constantinian model of Christianity. Deeply rooted in anti-Semitism and pogroms and inquisitions, hunting down and killing anybody who did not share your anti-Torah understanding of the New Testament. We have not modeled Ruth, yet Ruth is the model for Gentile faith. She came after a Jewish woman and submitted herself in obedience to the instruction of her Jewish mother-in-law in order that she might conceive of the promised seed. And this is another parallel between Abram and Sarai, who, we know as Abraham and Sarah, that Ruth templates. She was barren, and she conceives the the grandfather, the great-grandfather of the king of promise, King David. Let me go back and find out. It'll only take a minute. Oh, Samuel. 2 Samuel. Oh, quick. Okay. The neighbor woman gave his name. Here, there is a son born to Naomi. That's interesting. Who had the baby? Ruth. Ruth had the baby. But the women said, there is a son born to Naomi. How did that happen? Well, it happened through Yibum, Levirate marriage. The promised child of Ruth not only restored the name of Mahlon, her husband, but it also restored the name of Elimelech, Naomi's dead husband. So there was a double Yibum event here that took place, and they named his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. So Obed is the grandfather of King David, the king after God's own heart. So both Abraham and Sarah conceive of a child of promise. Ruth and Boaz also conceive of this child of promise. And Ruth is our template, church, people of God, people who love Jesus, who worship him. We must walk in the model of Ruth, not in the model of Constantine. Ruth is our faith model. She is the one who's telling us how to be in relationship to Southern House brethren. Our Southern House brethren have been given the mandate to preserve Torah. It's because of Judah that we even have the 10 Commandments. And so they've been mandated with preserving the seed. They are the masculine branch of the family. Ephraim, Northern House, is the womb. If you look at the name Ephraim, it means fruitfulness. That's what the job of the womb is. Our job as Gentiles, coming back into the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our job is to produce the children. But in order to do so, or in order to be blessed, we must come under the authority structure of the Torah. This is going to be terribly misunderstood, I suppose. This is why we need to come into an ancient path understanding. That's why I'm so appreciative of my friend Otto, who is not only has the Jewish perspective and understanding of Torah and its connection to the New Testament, but he has faith in Yeshua HaMashiach. Yeshua is his sin bearer. He understands. And so for us, it's very important for us to find tutelage coming out of the Sunday, Easter, Christmas. It's very important for us to find a way into Torah obedience. And there's so much baggage in Christianity when it comes to that phrase. Oh, you've fallen from grace. You're trying to keep the law. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am trying to keep the law. Aren't you? Anyhow, I don't think I'm going to get to what I wanted to talk about with Abraham. Excuse me. So I think I'll leave this right here and just post it. And I really covet, that's commandment number 10. I would appreciate if you are at all blessed by anything I share, that you lift me up in prayer and you help me cross the finish line. I need your help. I'm not strong at that. So thank you in advance if you are praying for me. Yahovah bless you and keep you. Yahovah cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.